Number 10, no turning back. This had to have been some kind of weird bootleg version of the game, right? In this version of Pokemon Blue, I played as normal, except I could never turn back. And as I moved forward, everything became more distorted from reality. Every time I tried to turn around, the screen would get all wavy and bubbles would float across it. I'd faint and then reawaken just where I'd been. "You'll drown if you go back," a title card on the screen warned, and yet moving forward only made the game get weirder and exposed me to despicable horrors. Pokemon I'd never seen before that appeared to be wounded or falling apart or horrifically mashed together in some way. Around every corner was new horror, but there was no turning back. Number 9, Pokemon Poison. This is a story that happened to a friend of mine. My friend Heather was a collector of Pokemon bootlegs and EXEs. The creepier they were, the more she enjoyed them, until she played Pokemon Poison. That was a version that swore her off collecting these games, and she told me it's a game that takes the idea way too far. In the game, you play as a Pokemon trainer whose only goal is to poison as many people in Pokemon as possible. You are forced to custom make your own potions and poisons, but even if you just want to try and ignore this part of the game, it won't let you. When she decided to only make health potions, they all became corrupted and turned into poison that caused her Pokemon to die. Number 8. Where's Dad? This creepypasta begins like this. I have always been a really big Red fanboy in Pokemon, and I ended up buying a secondary Pokemon Red game online on eBay just so I could play through 2 games at once without having to worry about anything happening on my previous game with my pristine game save file. I noticed instantly upon receiving the cartridge that it looked different. The sticker didn't quite match up. The cartridge almost looked like it was made of a cheaper, almost translucent plastic by comparison. It was either a bootleg or it was manufactured somewhere very different from my original game. Still, I gave it a shot. Being a huge Red fan, one of my favorite parts of the game is when you examine the SNES in the Celadon department store, and Red says, "Dad would like this." But in this game, instead, Red said, "Where is Dad?" I hadn't experienced anything weird in-game until this moment. Nothing creepy, no Lavender Town music driving me insane, no ghost Pokemon crying blood, but this for some reason really bothered me. When I left the department store, I saw a shadowy figure waiting for me outside. When I went to talk to him, his name was ZD. He only spoke in ellipses, 3 dots. But talking to him initiated a trainer fight, except we didn't have any Pokemon in front of us. My only attack was Dad! I used that, and lunging out of the shadows, I saw a figure, a full-on corpse, rotting zombie. ZD, who I was fighting, stood for Zombie Dad, and his attack was Eat. And before we move on to this next point, if you are enjoying these creepypastas, these creepy stories with me, be sure to show us that you are having fun and give this video a thumbs up. Number 7, augmented reality. John used to love playing Pokemon Go. He played every day on his way to work and every day on his way home. He even bought a separate phone just for playing at one point. With this new phone, he always had the AR experience on. He just thought it was so neat to see the Pokemon in his real life world. That is until one day, when a Pokemon seemingly jumped from the game into his real life. As he lowered his phone, the Bulbasaur seemed to blend into reality. It snapped at a nearby rider on the streetcar, and he leaped in their path to protect them, accidentally falling over into them as the streetcar lurched to a stop. "Excuse me," the disgruntled rider exclaimed in anger. I was just the Pokemon," John stammered, gesturing down towards it, but the person didn't see it. Much of his life continued in this downward spiral, with the Bulbasaur remaining unseen by anyone else except for John, and continuing to ruin his life, causing him eventually to lose his job, his family, his home, and ultimately, in the end, his life as well. Number 6, Pokemon Creepy Black. This creepypasta tells the story of a character who loves to collect bootlegged versions of Pokemon. They have been playing for years and enjoy seeing what kind of fan-altered games they can find and enjoy. One day, they come across a game referred to as Pokemon Black. This bootleg version of the game introduced the player to Ghost. Ghost is a Pokemon who only has one attack, called Curse. In Pokemon Black, the player watches as other trainers and Pokemon appear to vanish when exposed to Curse, implying perhaps that they have passed on as a result of them being exposed to Ghost's attack. No matter which way the player approaches the game strategically, it always seems to end with a one-on-one battle after the end of the game, with the player's character becoming an elderly old man who is then forced to fight against and ultimately lose to Ghost in the end. They have one attack that they can use in their defense, which does no damage to their longtime Pokemon and now opponent. Struggle. Number 5, From Within. This is a true story, one that warns of what can happen when the line between fantasy and reality begins to blur, when you become so invested in games that they become like real life. Isaiah played Pokemon more than he did anything else. Whether he was at school, at work, he would find ways to play. He preferred baths to showers actually because it freed up his hands to play while washing. He was obsessed, to say the least. Isaiah had always wished that he could live life as though he were a real trainer. It was one day when he was in the bath playing Pokemon Red that he got more than he had bargained for when it came to that wish. He was trying to catch a Gengar, but during his attempt, a cutscene he'd never seen before started up and was triggered. The Gengar he saw in front of him looked hyper-realistic, more realistic than his console should have even been able to show. "Do you truly wish to become the best trainer?" the Gengar somehow asked him. He selected the option yes, but the Gengar demanded he speak aloud his answer. "Yes!" he cried out. The Gengar then seemed to leap forward toward him and then emerged from the screen. It grabbed his face in both hands and pulled him through the screen. And the game console splashed down into the bath. Isaiah was gone, but the game continued. Number 4, Nightmare Attack. This was an attack I noticed my Kadabra had one day while playing in a game. Not sure if it was an error or a glitch or exactly where it came from. I just know that this happened to me and I don't know why. When used, Nightmare would cause no harm to the Pokemon, but after the battle I noticed the trainers were different. They would pass out near the end of battle, either when I was about to lose or run or just upon victory even. They would faint, and then when I left and tried to wake them up, I would get this creepy flash of them smiling and foaming at the mouth, like some kind of jump scare card. This glitch or error, I don't know what it was so bad that I found myself unable to play my game, or any Pokemon games anymore, without thinking about it. It's not only haunted my own nightmares, but constantly haunts me when I think of the franchise. Has anyone else had this Kadabra attack or knows where it comes from? Number 3, the Mystery Door. I had never been to this place. It was a department store that somehow appeared in a cave when I was playing Pokemon Red. I didn't know how it got there or where it came from, but I was curious. I went inside. There was a shop owner who looked normal, as well as some items for purchase. At the back of the store was a door, but when I approached it, the shop owner stopped and asked me, "Do you wish to open the mystery door?" My only option for responses was no. To which he'd respond, "Okay, if you change your mind, let me know. We can always talk about the cost to do so." I left the store, but every time I played would end up visiting it again during my session. It was such a weird place. The options for my answer always seemed to be the same, until one day they weren't. I noticed a second option. There was no, and then just an ellipses for another response. I chose the 3 little dots, to which the shop owner didn't respond. I was given another chance to choose between the same 2. This repeated a few times until I saw my character shudder and begin to vomit. Out of my insides emerged a tall, spindly creature shrouded in mist with bright red glowing eyes. It stood tall with a twisted grin. "Time to pay the price," it said. I heard the echo of its voice in my mind. Number 2, Berry Forest. One time while I was in Berry Forest, I ran into a random girl there. Nothing too bad happened, but it was definitely a really creepy encounter. She asked me to come with her and become one with the forest. Then I watched her move into a tree. Cut into the tree was a perfect shape for her body. You don't need to leave ever if you join us, she told me. Number 1, trading places. My friend had loaned me their old Game Boy Color as my Switch had broken down recently, but it was covered by a warranty still, so I was just waiting to get it back, fully repaired. I used to love playing my Game Boy Color when I was younger. They gave me a few games along with it. Among them was a Barbie Genie game, a Legend of Zelda game, but I settled on a Pokemon game to play. However, the cartridge didn't look like any Pokemon game that I remembered. It had a picture of an intense looking Ditto on the front. Weirdly enough, the color of the Ditto was off and seemed to more match the color of the Game Boy instead. I paid it no mind, thinking that with age, maybe the color had changed, or maybe the cartridge was a little dirty. I popped the cartridge in and booted up the handheld console. Suddenly, I noticed it began to shift in my hands. I watched as the Game Boy appeared to melt out of my hands before emitting a bright, blinding white light. I shielded my eyes and turned away, and when I opened them, I noticed before me stood a giant Ditto, but shaped like me. Its face was wrong, but as it looked down at me, it appeared to fix that, matching my very own expression. Its skin was a little more pink than mine, but otherwise it was a perfect copy. The Ditto reached down and picked me up. I noticed that I couldn't move. I didn't have arms or legs. I noticed a border as well in my vision. Finally free, it said, my own face smiling down at me.
Starting us off in at number 10, Glitch City. Let's begin our list with a glitch that terrified the crap out of us in Pokemon Red and Blue. Did you know that in the games it's possible to visit an entirely new city from scratch thanks to a glitch known as Glitch City? It's a city that looks like it crawled its way up from the depths of digital hell, but is a city nonetheless. In order to do this, you need to start a game in Safari Zone and then try to leave, but select No. Then re-enter the zone, save, then reset the game. Leave the Safari Zone and walk 500 steps. Because of these actions, the game will think you're still in the Safari Zone and will start to glitch, bringing you to Glitch City, a corrupted version of whatever area you were in when those 500 steps ended. Luckily, it won't ruin your game like some of the other numbers on this list. You can easily leave by using Fly or Teleport. Now, Glitch City is a prime example of the games trying to fill in holes left by glitches rather than the game crashing altogether. Something that happened in many different ways and forms throughout the early Pokemon games, and something that becomes apparent the more we get into this list. Let's move on to number 9, the Berry Glitch. Did you know that many of the original Pokemon Red and Blue Game Boy games have entirely stopped working? Now, this is because of the way that the games back then saved data. It was saved and ran on an internal battery. So as you can imagine, those little internal batteries have gone kaputs, meaning all of your old save files are now lost. Naturally, Nintendo and Game Freak have run into issues over the years because of this, with one of the biggest, and earliest, being in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Once a save file was made, the game would only keep track of it for a single year. After that, the aspects of the game pertaining to daily activities stopped working altogether, including berries, hence where this glitch got its name. Eventually, there was a patch created for this, but this isn't a problem for Nintendo moving forward anymore. These days, the modern games save on an SD card or can be loaded into the online Pokemon Bank. Moving on to number 8, Lumos City Save Glitch. What's scarier than getting a decent way through your game and then having your save file corrupted, forcing you to start all over? Well, not much as far as video games are concerned to some people, which brings us to this number on our list, the Lumos City Save Glitch. As its name suggests, this more so recent glitch that appeared in Pokemon X and Y would occur if a player saved their game in either the north or south boulevards of Lumos City. If they then turned off the game or the console, the next time that they would try to load that save file, the game would freeze upon loading. And there was no way of fixing that aside from restarting the game altogether. Eventually, a patch was released to solve this issue. Up next, number 7, the M Glitch. M is a glitch that occupies hex slot 00 in the game's ROM, with its name appearing as two ever-changing glitchy graphics on either side of the capital letter M in the actual game itself, meaning it's a Pokemon that you can have in your party. It's technically like the missing no glitch, more on that later, since it does many similar things like duplicate items, except this little guy does something interesting when activated. When you capture it, it still attacks you. It can replicate itself constantly, meaning there's a very good chance that it can never be defeated. And if you try to throw another Pokeball after it attacks you after being caught, it will then turn into a Ditto. Just a regular Ditto, hence the common nickname for this glitch, Ditto M. It also evolves. At level 138, M will evolve into a Clefairy. It can also evolve at any other level aside from 138 into a Kangaskhan. It spontaneously will turn into a Rhydon if you already have an M glitch in your Pokemon party. Now it's worth noting that many fans of the game think that this glitch is actually some sort of connection to Kangaskhan, Cubone, and Marowak and that whole deathly depressing fan theory surrounding those three, but this has yet to be proven. And at number 6, Acid Rain. The third generation of Pokemon games saw the introduction of changing weather in the series, with Pokemon able to summon extreme weather during a battle. Now this could damage all Pokemon on the battlefield minus those who have an innate resistance to those kinds of weather effects. For example, ice Pokemon are immune to hail. It's something that's still prevalent in Pokemon games to this day, but when it was introduced in Pokemon Platinum, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver, there was a way to have all weather effects play at once thanks to this glitch. Now this occurs when a weather effect of any kind is active on the battlefield, and then you need to knock out your opponent's Pokemon when it's being switched out via Pursuit. Now this activates the glitch, and when the next Pokemon is released by your opponent, all of the weather effects will become active at the same time. Acid Rain. Up next, number 5, Hex Value EC. Getting a little technical at this one. So without diving into the exact how-to, Pokemon games store data for Pokemon in a location in its cartridge that occupies 256 slots of data. 256 converted to hex is FF, or the maximum. Now 151 of these slots are actually Pokemon. 40 of those slots are missing no, once again, more on that later, and then the remainder of the slots are for trainer data. Data. If you tried to use a Game Shark to force another encounter with a specific trainer ID, you'll end up fighting a glitchy NPC trainer. Now, some players have managed to force the game to read these trainer slots of data as Pokemon data, which is how this glitch was discovered. EC is the name for the hex location where this glitch is stored. It has no sprite, but it does have data normally corresponding to Lieutenant Surge, meaning if you entered a certain code in your Game Shark, specifically 01ECD8CF, you would find yourself battling a wild Lieutenant Surge. You will then attempt to send out EC, which will then freeze your game. If you're playing with a ROM and it remains stable throughout this, your Pokemon that you send out into battle in response will have a frozen status effect, a warped HP bar, and a bunch of other glitchy visuals. Why is this creepy aside from it being an invisible glitchy Pokemon? Because EC is the only hex location in the game where data does not exist. Yet that can't be right because Lieutenant Surge appears there. One critic from VentureBeat.com has even gone as far to suggest that this is the equivalent of Schrodinger's cat, existing and not existing simultaneously. Moving on to number 4, the Dokokashira door. Available only in the Japanese releases of Pokemon Red and Green from 1996, and therefore not present in the blue titles or the North American releases, this glitch is one known for being incredibly disruptive and harmful. Dokokashira translates into, where is it? So as you can gauge from that, this glitch will change the location of what exists behind doors of buildings, bringing you to places it shouldn't. Now this happens if you start a new game in order to save Oak's parcel in your inventory. From there, press select and attempt to swap it with the first Pokemon in your party rather than swapping it with an item. But be warned, because that's a straight up sacrificial act. Your only Pokemon, aka your starter Pokemon, will be victim of this glitch. This activates the glitch, and every 4 steps you take, a new cycle of the glitch begins, meaning the warp location of each door will constantly change to another location. Trippy, isn't it? But to some players, rather useful. One player actually figured out how to use this glitch to beat the game by walking straight into the Hall of Fame, accessing the computer, and then beating the entire thing without a single Pokemon in their party. It also looks like navigating a hellscape, so to each their own. Up next, number 3, Charizard M. Remember the glitch that we talked about earlier? The M glitch? Well, this spin-off of it is by far one of the most heinous Pokemon glitches out there, courtesy of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Despite being called Charizard M, this is not a Pokemon. It's a programming anomaly, and what it does really really sucks. It will delete your other Pokemon. So this glitch occupies the FF slot on the cartridge and doesn't correspond to any Pokemon. The slot it exists in is literally where the game stores data for the cancel button. So yeah, it's not really supposed to be there. If you capture this glitch, which initially appears in the form of a Charizard, it will be added to your party as a blank space. Now, if you try to move it to the top of your roster, it will delete all of your other Pokemon. You won't be able to heal them, interact with them, or do anything with them at all. And if you make the mistake of trying to store Charizard M in your Pokemon box, it will do the exact same thing to everyone else in that box. In addition to that, this glitch can multiply itself on its own accord. Moving on to number 2, the Old Man. Otherwise known as the Trainer ID Theft glitch, this one refers to the old man who's chillin' in Viridian City and won't let you proceed any further without delivering Oak's parcel first. Once you do that, and once you get your Pokedex, he will want to show you how to catch Pokemon. So naturally, players with Game Sharks decided that they wanted to screw with this dude. And screw they did. So the old man has one program function: throw a Pokeball. He never sends out Pokemon of his own, so players have messed with it using the Game Shark to have him catch a Mewtwo, catch other trainers, or even a Missingno. But this can cause a glitch to occur where he also steals your trainer ID. After he tells you that you must weaken the target Pokemon, which he normally does, post him catching a Pokemon, players notice that their name had been changed to Old Man. This is because the glitch stores your player ID information where the wild Pokemon data is stored. You can no longer nickname any Pokemon because they don't recognize you. You're now Old Man. Other NPCs will address you as Old Man. Even your own mother won't recognize you, despite the sign on your house changing to Old Man's House. Speaking of the Old Man, his glitchy ways actually impact another glitch on our list, bringing us to our final number. In at number 1, Missingno. The Missingno glitch is perhaps the most famous Pokemon glitch on our list, and one that has gone beyond the game's fanbase. You could argue it's one of the most well-known gaming glitches of all time. Hype aside, Missingno literally means missing number 000 in the Pokedex. Players of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow in particular would seek out Missingno by replicating this pattern. After having reached Cinnabar Island and having a Pokemon that has been taught both Surf and Fly HMs, the player would travel to Viridian City, speak to the old man, ask him to show them how to catch a Pokemon, and then fly back to Cinnabar Island to use Surf on the eastern coast of the island. Pretty sure most of us who have played Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow have done this. Because this area of the game possesses no wild Pokemon data, a random one will spawn, typically in the form of Missingno, which looks like a terrifying, glitchy abomination. The glitch doesn't end there though. A player can manipulate the glitch in order to catch any Pokemon in the game, or to create infinite copies of any item, with the glitch increasing the 6th item in your bag by 128. There were rumors that it could ruin a player's game though, and if you visited the Hall of Fame, the effects of the glitch could be undone, but not before crashing the game's music, messing with the sound, and turning your Pokemon into cubes of glitchy gibberish in some cases. To this day, it is still a risk for players, with reports of gamers trying to transfer a Missingno from Pokemon Red and Blue into Pokemon Sun and Moon, which would cause the names of any other Pokemon transferred to go glitchy as well.
In at 10, the Night of Lightning. The gates are sealed. The attackers have retreated, mostly. There are a few stragglers left who wish to see their kingdom burn. They think they can be a hero. They think they'll save their kingdom. Pathetic. Their kingdom is ours and shall remain as such for eternity. The storms here are common, even more common than a battle in a tavern. However, the wonder of this village is at its end. We've had fun, but I think it's time to take another, and begin our reign over the regions. We have Unova, now time for another. Wait, why did the storm just get worse? Just as I think that, I see it. The darkest shadow one could ever think of flying over the clouds. It's as dark as Darkrai, but not him. I see a faint amount of blue shining through the clouds. It's almost like a god. And then you hear it. You have lost your way. Return to your righteous path or face annihilation. It's as if it just spoke to our brains. We look at each other and everyone else heard the same. We will fill this land with our righteous fury, I cry at the beast. That was the wrong idea. It started. The lightning. It came down as if on its own, with the fury of 100,000 men. Every time a bolt vanished, another one came down, as if God had started to eviscerate the human race. However, all around us the world was normal. It was a bright and sunny day, but not over us. As my men fell, I see him descend. Zekrom. And at 9, demise. It's only happened once, the evisceration of the Kalos region. It happened oh so long ago that I don't even think the elders remember, but I do. I am not like most elders. I am AZ, and I remembered when the legendary Pokemon Yveltal finished its first life cycle. It's unknown when it was born or created, but when it was finished with this mortal plane, it didn't go quietly. The destruction was vast, and the casualties greater than even the Pokemon War which occurred after. Kalos, the region which this Pokemon called home, was destroyed, leveled by what can only be described as a catastrophic event. The death of this Pokemon sucked the life out of the region, as if the region sacrificed itself in order to preserve the Pokemon. Yveltal was saved and created a cocoon of sorts that acted as a shield for the coming few thousand years, until one group, known as Team Flare, decided that disturbing the Pokemon that caused the end of the region was a good idea. Of course, they didn't know about the evisceration, they only thought those were stories, but alas, I wait for the destruction of the region once more. And if Yveltal won't do it, I'll do it myself. If you guys are enjoying the video, be sure that you hit that like button because it really helps us out and lets us know what you want to see more of. Thanks. And it ate Quake. The ground shook beneath my very feet. This wasn't uncommon for Hoenn. Thanks to the legends, however, it always made us worry that the legendary Groudon would rise again. The ground trembles once more. This is more than just an ordinary aftershock. Something's wrong. I rush outside and see the storm forming. It's like the old legend. I grab my coat and head to the den, where there are officers set up preventing entry. I guess this is no mere storm, and the legend is true. The legendaries Groudon and Kyogre will rise again. They start evacuating once they hear the roar. The sound is amplified because of the cave, and then we hear another roar coming from behind us in the ocean. They usher us out of the city, leaving behind everything we own, and getting as many as possible onto Route 24. For a minute, the downpour stops. This makes people think that it's safe, and despite the police doing their best to hold them back, a man begins to return to his home. That's when Groudon bursts out of the ground, dropping a boulder on him. That's the day we left Red Hill City, and the last day that it was left standing. And at 7, Hoopa. Hoopa and I were friends. I thought we were best buds. There's no words to describe the kind of connection we had. That's until I died, at least. In the Pokemon world, some kids who die end up turning into Pokemon. I myself got lost in the woods while out on a walk with Hoopa, so I ended up becoming a Phantom. If I was a Kadabra, I'd be able to let Hoopa know who I am, but they can't understand a Phantom. After I died though, Hoopa kinda lost it. It changed to its unbound form since it was no longer by my side and terrorized as many people as possible, even some of the search parties for me. I'm starting to worry about what it will do next, and if they ever cared about me in the first place, or if it knew what would happen in that forest. It's been 10 years now, and Hoopa is with another boy. They came back into my forest. You'd think that Hoopa would avoid that since what happened last time, but then I see it smirk. It knows what's about to happen. Hoopa quickly opens a wormhole and heads through, but not before looking at me, now a Trevenant, and winking. And at 6, good night. I used to have trouble sleeping. I tried all that I could, sleeping pills, NyQuil, more pills. I even tried Pokemon, but even Jigglypuff couldn't put me to sleep. But then I found her, Meloetta. Meloetta is like my soulmate. We work together in harmony. She helps put me to sleep, and I help her with her mission. Everyone is sound asleep now. They were all having such a hard time. With the sun out, it's nearly impossible to sleep. But now, they can all sleep for as long as they want. Meloetta helps me sleep. She sings to me. It's like everything is a dream. Such a perfect life. Singing and sleeping is essentially the life of my dreams. Halfway through number 5, Pokemon. Pokemon is so addictive. It's like the most illicit substance on the planet, but it's legal. It's like PETA and the devil had a baby and then they turned it into a reality. I have plenty of Pokemon. I can't always keep them in their ball, but whenever they're out, they seem happy. They love to go outside and run around in the backyard. Luckily, I don't have any flying types, otherwise they might fly away. My parents think I have too many Pokemon, but you gotta catch them all, right? Even Pokemon Control thinks I have too many. They keep trying to take them away, but whenever they do, I go back, get my Pokemon back, and grab another one while I'm at it too. It's like Pokemon Control is Team Rocket and I'm Ash. I tried putting a Pokemon in my PC a while ago, but it didn't work. It just started smelling funny, so I threw it out. Pokemon Control can take that one. My parents seem concerned, but can't they just see that I'm having fun with my life? Gotta catch them all. And then for the fire. It was late. Probably around 2 in the morning. The thunder was cracking, the lightning was flashing blue, and we saw a figure fly overhead. When it flew over the brass tower, that's when it caught. The fire spread quickly, despite the rain we thought would prevent it. My dear friends were inside, Sparky, Rainer, and Pyro. They loved to play in that tower, jump from post to post, battling and training themselves just for fun. I never thought it was an issue. But when the fire spread down, they were goners. Rainer tried to protect them. Sparky even took a lightning bolt for them, but nothing worked. Even Pyro stood in the flames and tried to absorb them. Nothing. Luckily, Ho-Oh had a spot for them in his plane, and now whenever I see one of the legendary beasts, I smile and shed a tear for the boys I lost oh so long ago. Perhaps, after the plug is pulled, I'll be with them once more. And at 3, Genesect. Genesect? More like genocide. That monster is unstable and should be put in the Pokemon graveyard with the others. They were already temperamental to begin with, but their leader, the Red Genesect, is ruthless. He's the one who started the original Pokemon War, the one that claimed the lives of millions of Pokemon. The Pokemon who put their lives on the line should be the ones who remain, not these goddamn unhinged monstrosities. They've nearly leveled all of Castelia City at this point. The psychopathic group led by their leader won't let any human live. I've managed to hide inside the debris of one of the buildings, but the moment they suspect something, I believe it will be the end. They don't seem to speak aloud, not even saying their name. I'm guessing it's some form of psychic communication, or something of the electronic equivalent, since they look like machines. Oh no. While writing that last line, I moved a piece of wall, probably around the size of a medium rock, but that was enough for the Genesect to hear. And at 2, Framed. Officer, I swear I didn't do it. I wasn't even in Nimbasa City last week. I've been in Castelia City for the past month doing my research. What, filling up that Pokedex? You seem to have the Pokemon that appear after Mistralton, which means you have to have had passed through Nimbasa. Why would you go back? Because I missed stuff. Come on, there has to be an explanation for this. There is. You did it. We caught you on the cameras, you monster. What do you mean, monster? Here, look at this and then tell me that's not you. It may look like me, but it's not. What do you think? Arceus just created another version of you to tear that old man apart? No, it wouldn't have been Arceus. What about the unknown? They were safe in Relic Castle. What about the Weather Trio? Unaccounted for, but we know it's not them. How? They don't have this kind of ability. What about a Ditto? A Ditto wouldn't be able to do that to a human. This was animalistic. How do you not remember? What if it was Zoroark? We hadn't considered that. Well, we can't have you blabbing now, can we? The illusion fades as Zoroark steps out from the shadows and reveals the bloody stained claws of the one, the only, Arceus. Finally, in number 1, Dream of Darkness. It started as sleep paralysis. It's a fairly common phenomenon, at least for me, when your mind wakes up but your body doesn't, and you're conscious and can see around you but can't move. Some people also have a blind spot while this happens, and most people believe it to be their sleep paralysis demon, since it can look like a person, but mine didn't. Mine looked odd. It had legs, but they were long and pointed. The arms were similar in a way, with wide hands thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. It had what looked like smoke coming off its shoulders, and the hair was similar. It stood there staring at me, like most sleep paralysis demons do, but then it started moving. It reached out a hand, and I watched it grab my face, as if trying to wake me up, but instead I fell back asleep. It fades to black and I'm back in my room. The demon is gone and I can finally move. It's still dark out, but my clock says 11 a.m. Concerned, I walk down the stairs and call out to my parents, asking them what's going on. They say nothing, so instead I call out to my sister. Nothing again. When I get down, I see why they didn't call. They were what can only be described as spread out across the room. The ceilings and walls were red and their heads were all removed. I close my eyes and I'm back in my room. The demon is gone and I can finally move. It's still dark out, but my clock says 11 a.m.